Energy is the foundation of all achievement. It's not just what you know. It's not even just what you do. It's the state you're in that determines whether you will execute, whether you will create, whether you will follow through when it matters most. State is the invisible force that drives visible results. And most people walk through life unconscious of it. They let their state be dictated by their environment, their circumstances, the weather, a random comment from a stranger, or a memory from the past that still chains them down. They think their emotions are accidents, when in reality their emotions are patterns. Their emotional states are habits. Their energy is programmable. When you're in a low energy, fearful, frustrated state, every challenge looks bigger. Every opportunity looks smaller. When you're tired or defeated or overwhelmed, you start negotiating with your dreams. You start telling yourself the story that maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe now's not the right time. But when you're in a peak state, when your mind is sharp, your heart is open, your body is alive, everything changes. The same problem looks smaller. The same obstacle looks like an opportunity. The same dream feels not just possible but inevitable. The truth is, the quality of your life is the quality of your state. Moment to moment, day after day, people think they have to change their life to feel better. They think they have to fix everything around them before they can finally feel free, finally feel alive, finally feel powerful. But the secret is the opposite. You don't change your life and then feel better. You change your state first, and then you change your life. You decide right now to take control of your energy, your focus, your movement, your breathing, your language. Because these are the levers that control your state. And when you control your state, you control your life. Think about a moment in your life when you were unstoppable. Maybe you were younger. Maybe it was recent. Maybe you were in love, or you had just achieved something you once thought impossible. In that state, who were you? You were bold, you were creative, you were resilient. Problems bounced off you. Criticism couldn't reach you. Fear was replaced by a sense of certainty and passion. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't luck. That was a peak state. And the good news is, you don't have to wait for peak states to happen randomly. You can create them, deliberately and consistently, whenever you choose. But you have to stop treating your emotional states like the weather, something you have to endure or wait out. You have to start seeing them as something you can command. You have the tools. You have the power. Right now, if you wanted to, you could shift everything. Stand up straighter, breathe deeper, speak louder, move faster, smile bigger, focus differently. You could summon the energy of certainty, of gratitude, of power, of determination. And you could do it in an instant. Your body is the quickest path to changing your state. Emotion is created by motion. If you sit slumped over, head down, breathing shallow, you will feel depressed no matter how good your life is. But if you stand tall, shoulders back, eyes alive, breathing deep, moving with purpose, it is almost impossible to feel depressed for long. You train your nervous system to feel differently by moving differently. You condition new emotions by conditioning new patterns of physiology. And focus is your second tool. Wherever focus goes, energy flows. If you focus on what's missing, what's broken, what's wrong, you will create a state of frustration, fear, anger, sadness. If you focus on what you have and do what you're capable of, you will create a state of gratitude, power, excitement, confidence. You are the architect of your focus. You choose what to look for. You choose what meaning to assign. And that choice is what sculpts your state moment by moment. The third tool is language. The words you use, out loud and in your head, create the framework for your emotional experience. If you say you're devastated, you'll feel devastated. If you say you're slightly annoyed, you'll feel slightly annoyed. The difference between being stressed and being challenged is just a word. The difference between being broken and being tested is just a word. The language you habitually use either empowers you or imprisons you. Change your words, and you change your story. Change your story, and you change your state. Mastering your state doesn't mean you'll never feel fear or sadness or anger again. It means you won't live there. It means you'll recognize those states for what they are, signals, not shackles. Temporary weather patterns, not permanent climates. You'll still feel it, but you'll move through it faster. You'll intervene before a bad moment becomes a bad day, before a bad day becomes a bad week, before a bad week becomes a bad year. You'll be the cause of your experience, not the effect. State is the starting point for every breakthrough. It's the birthplace of every transformation. It's where confidence is born. It's where courage is built. It's where love is amplified. It's where determination is forged. Nothing extraordinary happens from a disempowered state. No empire was built, no dream was realized, no great art was created from a state of fear, doubt, or low energy. Greatness is the child of great states. Extraordinary lives are nothing more than a string of extraordinary moments. We're created by extraordinary states. If you want to change anything in your life, start with your state. Not next week, not when it's convenient, not when someone else motivates you. Right now, in this breath, in this moment, you can decide to step into the energy, the focus, the power that will take you where you want to go. Every change in your life begins with a decision. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every moment where the world shifts under your feet starts with that quiet but fierce moment where you say, "This is it. No more. It changes now." Decision is the ultimate power because decision is the source of all action. Without decision, dreams are just wishes. Without decision, potential remains frozen inside you, waiting for a permission slip that never arrives. Decision is the moment you grant yourself permission to become the person you were meant to be. Most people drift through life because they never make real decisions. They make preferences, they make mild wishes, they say things like, "I hope," "It would be nice," "Maybe someday." But a real decision cuts off any other possibility. The word, decide, comes from the Latin root, decidere, meaning to cut off. When you decide, you cut off excuses, you cut off fear, you cut off the old identity that's been holding you back. You don't try, you don't hope, you do, you become, you act. True decision is power. It's a force that reshapes the future. It's not something passive. It's not something you stumble into. It's an internal commitment so strong that the external world starts to rearrange itself around it. When you truly decide that your health will change, that your finances will transform, that your relationships will reach a new standard, that your purpose will be fulfilled, then suddenly the resources appear, the ideas come, the people show up, the opportunities emerge. Not because they weren't there before, but because you weren't awake to them. Decision awakens you. Decision focuses you. Decision electrifies you. Waiting for conditions to be perfect before making a decision is the biggest lie we tell ourselves. If you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting forever. Life doesn't reward those who wait, life rewards those who decide. Conditions are never perfect. The economy might be shaky. The timing might feel wrong. The people around you might not support you. But none of that matters once you decide. Decision is the seed. It's the moment you plant your flag. It's the moment you say, "I'm in, no matter what it takes." And that kind of commitment moves mountains. The moment you make a true decision, everything inside you changes. Your focus sharpens. Your creativity ignites. Your resilience hardens. You find strength you didn't even know you had. The problem isn't usually that people don't have the ability. The problem is they haven't decided to use it. They are waiting to feel confident before they decide. They are waiting to feel certain before they commit. But certainty doesn't precede decision. Decision precedes certainty. You create certainty by deciding first and acting second. But courage doesn't show up fully formed. Courage grows through decision. Look back at the most powerful moments of your life. Chances are, they started with a decision. Maybe it was the decision to walk away from something toxic. Maybe it was the decision to start something bold. Maybe it was the decision to believe in yourself when everyone else doubted you. Those decisions shaped you. They sculpted who you are today. And every day, whether you recognize it or not, you are making decisions that are either moving you closer to the life you want or pulling you further away from it. The decisions you make in moments of uncertainty are the ones that define you. Anybody can decide when it's easy. Anybody can commit when there's no risk, no fear, no sacrifice. But real decisions are made in the moments when it would be easier to back down, to settle, to quit. Real decisions are made when your knees are shaking, when your voice trembles, when your future is foggy. And in those moments, the act of deciding becomes an act of courage, an act of creation, an act of faith in the unseen. There's no greater freedom than the freedom that comes from a real decision. Because in that moment, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You stop being a pawn on someone else's chessboard. You become the author of your life, the sculptor of your destiny. You realize that life isn't happening to you. Life is responding to you. Every great leader, every great artist, every great entrepreneur, every great human who left a mark on this world did so because they decided they would long before the world agreed with them. Decisions backed by resolve build momentum. Momentum creates habits. Habits forge identity. Identity locks in destiny. It all begins with one powerful decision. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now. People think decisions are rare, once-in-a-lifetime events. But the truth is, you are deciding constantly. You are deciding what to tolerate. You are deciding what you deserve. You are deciding what story you tell yourself. And those daily hurly moment-to-moment decisions stack up and become your life story. When you stop making true decisions, you start living on autopilot. You drift. You react. You survive instead of thrive. But when you harness the power of decision, you become dangerous. In the best way. Dangerous to fear. Dangerous to mediocrity. Dangerous to all the limiting beliefs that tried to chain you to an ordinary life. One decision can ignite a revolution inside you. One decision can start the avalanche that transforms everything. Everyone wants the breakthrough. Everyone wants the next level. Everyone wants to wake up one day stronger, richer, freer, more fulfilled. But few are willing to face the truth. Breakthrough is never convenient. Breakthrough is never comfortable. Breakthrough demands that you walk straight into discomfort, into uncertainty, into fear, and not flinch. It demands that you become someone more than you were yesterday, someone more resilient, more resourceful, more relentless. Growth is not served on a silver platter. It's earned in the fire of discomfort. The moment you choose to pursue a dream, you sign up for discomfort. You may not realize it at first. You may be intoxicated by the excitement of possibility. You may feel that initial surge of motivation that comes from envisioning a new life. But soon enough, the discomfort arrives. It's inevitable. It's necessary. It's the price of admission. You will be stretched. You will be tested. You will be pushed beyond the limits of who you used to be. Because if you could reach the next level while staying comfortable, you would already be there. If it didn't require change, everyone would have what they want. Discomfort is the training ground for greatness. Discomfort is where your real strength is forged. It's easy to feel confident when everything is going your way. It's easy to be positive when there are no challenges. But confidence built in comfort is fragile. It shatters the moment pressure is applied. Real confidence, unshakable confidence, is born in discomfort. It's born when you are exhausted but you take one more step. It's born when you are terrified but you speak anyway. It's born everything inside you says quit, but you dig deeper and discover a power you never knew you had. There's a reason most people settle. There's a reason mediocrity is crowded. Because most people are unwilling to be uncomfortable long enough to claim the life they truly want. They start something bold, and the first time it gets hard, they retreat. They tell themselves stories like, maybe it's not meant to be, or maybe now's not the right time. They confuse discomfort with danger. They believe that if it's uncomfortable, it must be wrong. But discomfort is not a sign you're off course. Discomfort is often the greatest signal that you are exactly where you need to be. The body grows through stress. Muscles don't grow by lifting weights they can already lift. They grow when they are challenged, when the fibers tear under pressure and rebuild stronger. The same is true for your mind, your spirit, your character. Growth demands resistance. Growth demands friction. Growth demands moments when you doubt yourself, moments when you want to quit, moments when you feel like you're not enough. And it's in those moments that you get to choose shrink back into the familiar or lean forward into the unknown. The path to mastery is not a straight line of victories. It's jagged, it's messy, it's filled with stumbles, failures, heartbreaks, and hard lessons. Every person you admire, every champion you look up to, every story of triumph you've ever heard, they were all built in the darkness of discomfort. Learned to dance with the fear. They learned to embrace the suck. They learned that pain was not their enemy, but their invitation to level up. You have to rewire how you view discomfort. Most people treat it like a warning sign, danger ahead, turn back. But discomfort, when you're chasing growth, is not a warning. It's a green light. It's the universe asking, how bad do you want it? It's life challenging you to step up, to show that your dreams are more than words. Discomfort reveals your hunger. Discomfort reveals your commitment. Discomfort reveals the gap between who you say you are and who you are willing to become. Avoiding discomfort guarantees one thing: staying stuck. Maybe it won't happen today. Maybe you can avoid it for a while. But eventually, the price of avoidance is far greater than the price of discipline. Regret weighs more than failure. Settling weighs more than risk. There's a hidden pain that comes from staying the same while your heart screams for more. And that pain doesn't go away. It just buries itself deeper until one day you wake up wondering how you ended up living a life you never really chose. You can't negotiate with growth. You can't bargain your way into success by promising to be brave only when it's easy. You either commit fully or you drift slowly. Every time you embrace discomfort, you build a layer of mental armor. You teach yourself that you can handle more than you thought. You expand your capacity to lead, to endure, to create. You evolve. Discomfort isn't there to break you. It's there to make you aware of how much more there is inside you. Your best self is not hidden in your comfort zone. Your best self is waiting on the other side of fear, of uncertainty, of risk. The version of you that can build the life you dream about is not the same version standing here today. It's the version that says yes to challenge, yes to failure, yes to falling and getting up again. Every breakthrough you've ever wanted is held hostage by the discomfort you're unwilling to face. Logic can make you think, but emotion makes you act. You already know this at the deepest level. Every powerful moment of your life, every major decision you made, wasn't purely because you weighed the pros and cons like a machine. It was because something inside you moved, something deeper than thought, something that ignited you, stirred you, pushed you into motion. That force was emotion. Emotion is the invisible engine behind every breakthrough, every courageous choice, every bold move that changed the trajectory of your life. We like to tell ourselves that we're logical beings. We build charts and lists and rational arguments to justify our actions. But if we're honest, most of the time, the decision was already made before the logic caught up. You didn't fall in love because the statistics said it made sense. You didn't chase the dream because it was perfectly calculated and safe. You did it because you felt something. You felt a surge of desire, a pulse of certainty, a magnetic pull that you couldn't deny. Emotion hit you first. And when emotion gets strong enough, action becomes inevitable. When people say they're stuck, what they really mean is their emotions are stuck. They know what they should do. They know the steps. They've read the books, attended the seminars, written the goals. But knowledge without emotion is powerless. It sits there gathering dust. It's when you attack massive emotion to an idea that the idea catches fire. When you associate intense pleasure with taking action, and intense pain with standing still, you don't have to force yourself to move. You're pulled. You're driven from within. You act almost automatically because the emotional fuel is there. If you want to change your life, you have to master your emotions. You have to understand them, shape them, direct them. You can't be at the mercy of how you feel in the moment if you're committed to a higher standard. You have to be the one generating the emotions that will drive the behaviors that create the results you want. Emotion doesn't just happen to you. You can cultivate it. You can summon it. You can amplify it until it lifts you beyond your excuses and into execution. Look at the greatest leaders, athletes, innovators, those who defy the odds and change the game. They know how to harness emotion. They know how to turn frustration into fuel. They know how to channel fear into focus. They know how to transform desire into unstoppable drive. They don't wait to feel perfect before they act. They generate the emotions that empower them. They create an inner world so strong, so vivid, so compelling that it bends the outer world to their will. You have to recognize that every emotion has a purpose. Fear is there to protect, but it can also paralyze. Anger can destroy, but it can also be the catalyst for change. Love can open your heart, but it also exposes you to vulnerability. The key is not to eliminate emotion. The key is to direct it consciously, to use it as a weapon, a tool, a force for building the life you deserve. When you learn how to shift your emotional state on command, you take control of the steering wheel of your destiny. Changing your emotions isn't magic. It's science. It's strategy. It starts with what you focus on. Whatever you focus on, you feel. If you focus on everything that could go wrong, you feel fear. If you focus on everything you're grateful for, you feel joy. Focus is the first lever. Then comes meaning. The meaning you assign to an experience determines your emotional response. If you see a failure as proof you're not enough, you'll feel defeated. If you see it as a stepping stone to greatness, you'll feel energized. Your meaning is the second lever. The third lever is your physiology. Emotion is not just in your mind, it's in your body. How you move, how you breathe, how you carry yourself. These physical patterns create emotional patterns. When you align all three, focus, meaning, and physiology, you can create any emotional state you desire. You can light the fire of passion, confidence, gratitude, determination, anytime, anywhere. You become the source, not the echo. You stop waiting for the world to make you feel a certain way. You start creating the emotions that drive the actions that shape your world. Think about it. When did you achieve most in your life? It wasn't when you were flat, neutral, you were indifferent. It was when you were emotionally charged. Maybe you were fed up with settling. Maybe you were burning with a vision. Maybe you were electrified by a sense of possibility. Emotion got you moving. Emotion carried you through the fear, the fatigue, the failure. And the beauty is that power is always available to you. It's not reserved for rare moments. It's a force you tap into every single day. But it requires intentionality. It requires discipline. It requires deciding, over and over again, that you will not be ruled by moods, by circumstances, by the emotional weather of the moment. You will be the one who decides what to feel, who decides what meaning to give, who decides what to focus on, and from that emotional mastery, you will take massive action. You will act not because it's easy, not because it's convenient, but because you have stirred the emotional currents within you until they demand action. You will train yourself to associate massive pleasure with progress, massive pain with procrastination, massive joy with growth, massive disgust with standing still. Your destiny is not determined by your dreams alone. It's not determined by your hopes, your wishes, your goals written down in a journal. Your destiny is determined by the standards you are willing to uphold. Not once in a while, not when it's convenient. Every day, in every moment, in every decision. Standards are the invisible blueprint of your life. They set the baseline for what you will accept, what you will tolerate, and what you will relentlessly demand of yourself. Everybody gets their musts, few get their shoulds. The difference between people who live extraordinary lives and those who live lives of quiet desperation is not luck, intelligence, or talent. It's standards. If your standard is to show up when it's easy, you'll have a life of excuses. If your standard is to show up no matter what, you'll build a life of excellence. Standards are not something you casually declare. They are something you embody. They are the rules you live by even when no one is watching, even when there is no applause, even when no one else understands your level of commitment. Most people lower their standards to match their environment. They adjust to what's comfortable, what's acceptable, what's common around them. They rationalize mediocrity because it's easier to fit in than to rise above. But if you want to lead, if you want to build a life that inspires, you have to raise your standards beyond the noise of the average. You have to set a new thermostat setting for your life. One that doesn't dip just because the world around you is colder than you expected. Raising your standards is not about arrogance. It's about declaring that your life will not be dictated by chance. It's about deciding that your relationships will be extraordinary, not because it's easy, but because you won't settle for anything less. It's about deciding that your health will be vibrant, your finances will be abundant, your contribution will be meaningful because that's who you choose to be. Standards are identity. They are the silent agreements you make with yourself about what you deserve, about what you expect, about what you will absolutely not compromise. When you raise your standards, you immediately raise your behavior. You start doing things you would never have done when you tolerated less. You make different decisions. You ask better questions. You take actions that align with the higher version of yourself. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop flirting with excuses. You stop entertaining the voice inside your head that tries to seduce you back into comfort. Because comfort is no longer the goal. Excellence, growth is. Mastery is. Raising standards means confronting the parts of you that want to coast. It means looking yourself in the mirror without the filters, without the justifications, and saying, "This is not who I am anymore." It means being brutally honest about where you've been tolerating things that fall short of your true potential. It means recognizing the gap between your ideal and your reality. And instead of shrinking your ideal to match your reality, you expand your reality to match your ideal. You don't get your goals, you get your standards. If your standard is to be in incredible physical shape, you will find a way. If your standard is to build a thriving business, you will figure it out. If your standard is to create a loving, passionate relationship, you will do what it takes. Not because it's easy, not because it's always fun, but because it's who you are. When the standard is non-negotiable, the actions become inevitable. The challenge is, most people set their standards based on their past. They let old failures, old wounds, old stories dictate what's possible. They tell themselves lies like, "I've never been good with money," or "I've always struggled with relationships," or "I'm not the type to be successful." And every time they repeat those stories, they reinforce low standards. They anchor themselves to an identity that no longer serves them. The key to raising your standards is realizing that your past does not equal your future unless you choose to live there. You can declare a new standard today. Right now, regardless of yesterday, the world will try to pull you down to its level. It will tell you to be realistic. It will whisper in your ear to take it easy, to lower your expectations so you don't get hurt. But the moment you lower your standards to avoid disappointment, you have already lost. Because you are teaching yourself that safety is more important than greatness. And that is a betrayal of the spirit inside you that knows you were meant for more. Standards are contagious. When you live with high standards, you elevate everyone around you. You set an example not by preaching, but by being. People feel the difference. They are drawn to your energy, your conviction, your refusal to settle. Your life becomes a silent invitation for others to rise as well. Because deep down, everyone wants to be reminded that they are capable of more. They just need to see someone else live it first. When you raise your standards, you inevitably change your rituals. Your daily habits shift to match the new identity. You start taking care of your body differently. You start guarding your mind from negativity. You start surrounding yourself with people who challenge you instead of coddling you. Every decision, every action, every thought starts to align with the new level you've committed to. And over time, this alignment compounds into a momentum that becomes unstoppable. You cannot control every outcome in life, but you can control your standards. And when you hold the line, when you refuse to lower the bar even when it's hard, when you show up as the highest version of yourself, even when no one is clapping, you shape your destiny. Not overnight, not without struggle, but inevitably success is not a mystery. It's not some magical force reserved for the chosen few. It's not about luck or being born into the perfect circumstances, or waiting for some mythical perfect timing. Success is a science. It leaves tracks. It leaves a trail for anyone hungry enough, humble enough, and committed enough to follow. The fastest way to achieve anything you want is to find someone who's already done it and model what they did. Study them. Break down their mindset, their strategies, their rituals, their standards. Because success always leaves clues. Yet most people try to reinvent the wheel. They waste precious years stumbling around in the dark, guessing, hoping, trying random tactics when the path has already been paved by someone before them. Every breakthrough in business, health, relationships, leadership, someone has already cracked the code. Someone has already paid the price in blood, sweat, and tears. Someone has already faced the obstacles, battled through the resistance, and discovered what works. Your job is not to guess. Your job is to seek out those clues, learn from them, and apply them with relentless commitment. You don't have to be original to be successful. You have to be effective. You have to be willing to humble yourself enough to say, I don't need to know everything. I need to learn from those who already do. Modeling is the ultimate shortcut. It compresses decades into days. It takes wisdom that was earned the hard way and hands it to you on a silver platter. If you're willing to pay the price of attention, humility, and action, look at the people who are thriving in any area you want to master. Don't just admire them, analyze them. Study their patterns. What do they believe about themselves, about the world, about challenges? What habits do they practice every day without fail? How do they respond to setbacks? How do they treat their time, their energy, their relationships? Success is not random. It's structured. It's built on a foundation of clear principles, repeated consistently, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they are different. They hear advice from someone successful and immediately say, that won't work for me. My situation is unique. And that mindset keeps them trapped. Yes, your story is unique. Yes, your circumstances have their own flavor. But the principles of success are universal. Discipline is universal. Focus is universal. Grit is universal. Vision is universal. You are not exempt from the laws of achievement. You are governed by them, whether you acknowledge it or not. You don't have to have all the answers. You need to find someone who has the results you want and model them. And modeling is not copying on the surface. It's not mimicking their moves without understanding the mindset that drives them. True modeling is about absorbing the deeper patterns. It's about capturing the psychology, the emotional fuel, the habits of thought that produce the actions. When you tap into that level of understanding, you don't just imitate success, you embody it. Success leaves clues in books, in interviews, in podcasts, and biographies. Every master is leaving a trail. But most people are too distracted, too busy scrolling, too busy chasing shiny objects to sit down and decode the patterns that would change their lives. It's not a lack of information that holds people back today. It's a lack of hunger, a lack of discipline, a lack of willingness to slow down, study, and execute what works. Sometimes the clues are simple. Wake up earlier, move your body daily, feed your mind powerful thoughts. Focus on solutions instead of problems. Build rituals that create momentum. Surround yourself with people who demand more of you than you demand of yourself. Simple doesn't mean easy. And because it's simple, people dismiss it. They think the answer must be more complicated. They chase complexity, when in reality, mastery is about mastering the fundamentals at a level most people never even touch. Think about it, every extraordinary performer in any field doesn't do 1,000 different things. They do a few things incredibly well with total obsession. They find what works and they double down. They refine. They optimize. They don't get bored with basics. They own the basics so thoroughly that the basics become art. That is one of the greatest clues of success: repetition with intention. Consistency over intensity. Doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. If you're not getting the results you want, it's not because you're broken. It's knows you're unlucky. It's because somewhere, somehow, you're missing or ignoring the clues. Success is not mysterious. It's systematic. It's built brick by brick, decision by decision, action by action. And every day, you're either following the clues or walking further from them. It's a choice. It's always a choice. Some people look at those who succeed and feel envy. They think, it must be nice. They had it easier. But envy blinds you to the clues. Envy disconnects you from the learning. If you see someone living the life you want, lean in closer. Get curious instead of jealous. Ask better questions. What did they sacrifice? What did they obsess over? What price did they pay that you're not yet willing to pay? Success is a formula, and the formula is available to anyone brave enough to follow it. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to figure it all out on your own. The roadmap is there. The mentors are there. The examples are there. The question is, are you hungry enough to study them? Are you disciplined enough to model them? Are you relentless enough to apply what you learn, to tweak, to adjust, to persist until the blueprint becomes your reality? Because if you are, the clues will guide you to the life you've always known deep down you were meant to live. Everything in your life, your success, your relationships, your health, your wealth, is a direct reflection of the identity you hold for yourself. Identity is the governor of human behavior. You will never consistently do anything that conflicts with the identity you believe about who you are. You can temporarily act outside of it, but you will always find a way back to what you think you deserve, to who you think you are at your core. If you want to change your life in a lasting way, you must change your identity first. Identity is the most powerful force in the human experience because it answers the fundamental question, who am I? And whatever answer you give, consciously or unconsciously, becomes your destiny. If you say, I'm a leader, you will behave like one even when it's hard. If you say, I'm a failure, you will find a way to sabotage yourself even when opportunity knocks. Your identity creates the blueprint for your behavior, and your behavior shapes your destiny. That's why real transformation is never about changing the environment first. It's about changing the identity that interprets the environment. Most people have an identity they didn't even choose. It was handed to them by their parents, by society, by their failures, by their successes, by their traumas. They are living inside of a story that was written without their conscious permission. And because they never stop to question it, they keep reinforcing it every single day through their thoughts, their emotions, their actions. They say things like, I'm just not good with money, or I'm not a morning person, or I'm not built for leadership. And every time they repeat that story, they strengthen the walls of the prison they live in. If you want to break through, you have to break the old identity. You have to recognize that the story you've been telling yourself is not a fact, it's a choice. And at any moment, you can make a new choice. You can create a new identity rooted in your highest potential, not your past limitations. The only thing standing between you and the life you crave is the identity you are willing to step into. But you can't just casually affirm a new identity. You have to condition it. You have to feel it, live it, breathe it until it becomes more real than the old story. Identity is forged in the fire of repetition and emotional intensity. Every time you act in alignment with the new identity, you strengthen it. Every time you think the thoughts, feel the emotions, take the actions of the person you're becoming, you are wiring that identity deeper into your nervous system. When you own your identity, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop lowering your standards to match your old self. You start making decisions based on who you are becoming, not who you've been. You stop asking, can I? And start declaring, I am. The shift is not intellectual, it's emotional. It's not something you understand, it's something you embody. Identity is not about knowing, it's about being. Think about someone who made a massive change. Someone who went from broke to wealthy, from overweight to vibrant, from shy to charismatic. The change wasn't just what they did. It was who they decided to become. They drew a line in the sand and said, I am no longer that person. I am now this. And then they fought for that new identity with everything they had. They didn't wait for proof before they believed. They believed until the proof showed up. Identity is self-fulfilling. When you believe you are disciplined, you act disciplined, and the results reinforce the belief. When you believe you are resilient, you act resilient, and the victories build a track record that confirms it, and the cycle continues upward. But it works in reverse too. If you hold on to an identity of being unlucky, or unworthy, or broken, you will unconsciously create behaviors that validate that identity, and the spiral will continue downward. Identity either imprisons you or liberates you. It's your choice. Owning your identity also means owning all of it. The strength and the weakness, the light and the shadow. Real ownership is not pretending you're perfect. It's recognizing your gaps without letting them define you. It's being ruthlessly honest about where you are and ferociously committed to where you're going. It's knowing that your flaws are not fixed. They are just opportunities for growth. When you own your identity, you take full responsibility for your life without excuses, without blame, without victimhood. If you want to create an unshakable identity, you must act in alignment with it every day, especially when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the bridge between your old self and your new self. Consistency is the tool that sculpts identity into permanence. Every workout when you're tired, every sales call when you're scared, every tough conversation when you want to hide, all of it is chipping away at the old identity and carving the new one into existence. Surrounding yourself with people who reflect and reinforce your new identity accelerates the process. Environment shapes identity. If you're around people who expect greatness from you, you'll rise. If you're around people who coddle your comfort zone, you'll shrink. Choose your circle with intention. Choose conversations that ignite your future, not ones that reinforce your past. Choose to live in environments that demand your highest self to show up. Owning your identity means burning the ships. It means cutting off the possibility of retreat to the old version of you. It means speaking the new identity into existence until your words, your actions, your results all line up with the vision you have declared. It's about making the new you non-negotiable, making it real, not someday, not when it's convenient, but now, in this moment, through every choice, every action, every breath. You and I both know life isn't about what we get. It's about who we become. It's about the identity we forge, the standards we demand, the vision we hold even when the world tells us to shrink. Every breakthrough you crave, every dream you can feel burning in your chest, it's waiting on the other side of the choices you make today. Not someday, not when it's convenient, today. Because the truth is, you already have inside you everything it takes. You don't lack resources. You might lack resourcefulness. You don't need another excuse. You need a deeper standard. You don't have to be lucky. You have to be hungry. Hungry enough to raise the bar, to find the clues, to crush the old stories, and to own the identity of the person you were born to be. Every second you hesitate, every second you negotiate with your old self, you delay the life that's waiting for you. But the moment you commit, the moment you stand up inside yourself and say, no more, the world changes, your energy changes, your results change, your destiny changes. This is not about information. It's about transformation. It's about stepping into the arena, bloodied and unbowed, daring greatly, living fully, leaving nothing on the table. Because if you don't lead your life, life will lead you. If you don't command your future, your history will repeat itself. So decide now, decide who you are, decide what you stand for, decide what you will no longer tolerate, and then move with the certainty, the clarity, the unstoppable energy of someone who knows that their time is not tomorrow. It's now. Own it, live it, breathe it. Because your destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. And that choice is in your hands, right here, right now.